and it's 6:59.
All right, thank you. Hang on just a minute here. Ready? Ready? All right, let's go. Good evening. Call to order the regular monthly meeting of the City of Helotes Planning and Zoning Commission. It is 7 p.m. on October the 7th. I'd ask the commission secretary to call the roll, please.
Okay. Greg Michelle,
Here?
Jason Whiteman,
Here.
myself, Ann Caraway, Jaime Sandoval,
Here.
and Justin Hansen, not present.
Great. And from staff, we have Selena Perez, and we have Henry Hayes is here, I believe. There he is. And council, Sabrina McGowan is here. We will move to our first item tonight, which is a public hearing to give all interested persons the right to appear and be heard on a request from Killen, Griffin, and Fairmont to amend the planned unit development zoning ordinance by modifying permitted land uses in the commercial area, parcel 2 of Bandera Ranch, located at 15030 Bandera Road. With a public hearing, speakers are needing to fill out one of these forms. If you haven't, please do so. I'll call you up. You'll have 3 minutes to give us your views. It is an opportunity for us to hear from you and not a dialogue opportunity. We listen. We ask that you direct your comments to us and be respectful of the 3 minutes when the timer goes off. So we'll open the public hearing at 7:02. And when you come up, if you'd state your name and your address, please, and call up Cynthia Massey first.
Hello, my name is Cynthia Massey, and I live in Helotes Park Estates. I just want to say that I'm not against appropriate development, and I was on the city council when this was passed. Ironically, I wasn't there the day that it was passed, so I didn't get to vote for or against it. I probably would have voted for the original one. I can tell you that I'm against this change that they want to do. Just looking at it, I can tell you it looks like there's a lot more asphalt. The buildings, a couple of the buildings are a little larger. I don't like the fact that there is going to be the drive-through. It's a very bad area. In that location in the corner of Scenic Loop and Bandera Road is already getting very crowded. There's going to be the Las Palapas, and there's the Quick Trip there, and there's already cars going in and out. I use that particular intersection a lot to go to El Chaparral. But I know a lot of people do as well, and I just think it's a very dangerous thing to put another drive-through right after that intersection. The other thing I'm concerned about is on this restaurant, this supposed sit-in restaurant, it says first use. I would like to have a clarification during your discussion on what that means. From what I can understand, first use means that they'll try to get a restaurant in there. Maybe a restaurant will get in there, but if not, then it doesn't have to be a restaurant after all. It can be anything else. I don't like that either. The other thing is we were asking for a grocery store there. That's what everyone in Helotes wanted. A small, I guess, boutique Trader Joe's type thing, or even, which is a little bit bigger, but more of a grocery store that we really need in that area. So I don't like the change. I don't like the design. Again, I think there's too much asphalt, and I think you're going to have to do another, perhaps, mitigation for all that asphalt. So again, I'm against this new change. You don't have to vote for it. This is a PUD. It's not required to change it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Stuart Birnbaum.
Thank you, Stuart Birnbaum. I live on Cache Mountain Road in Helotes Park Estates. What she said. Couldn't have said it better. I really came here to talk about the proposed or requested change to our drive-through restaurant. And I think Cynthia hit the nail on the head. That intersection is already becoming overly stressed, I would say. And I think it's going to become a point where it becomes dangerous. I think a drive-through restaurant, I assume there's not enough detailed information. What I read on, related to the agenda, spoke about parcel 1, parcel 2. There was no map that indicated what parcel 1 and parcel 2 was. My assumption is ingress and egress would be onto Scenic Loop rather than Bandera Road. And if that's the case, I'm definitely opposed. I think that there's already too much stress. Also, given that we don't know what's happening with Lennar's development further up Scenic Loop, north of Gray Forest, that could be another 6,000 cars on Scenic Loop. Anything that would endanger the citizens who use that to get into and out of their home. I use it more than once a day and not to go to El Chaparral. And I just want to stress the potential danger and my opposition.
Thank you. Annette Birnbaum.
I live with Stuart Birnbaum at 9879 Cash Mountain Road. I also would like to second what Cynthia Matthews said. She hit every nail on the head. I'm opposed to the drive-through and thinking about the amount of trash that I'll have to pick up when I do trash pickup along Scenic Loop. It's bad enough with QT. I can't imagine what it would be like with an additional restaurant type thing there. I like the idea of having some housing there or a small grocery store, some, nice shops or something there. I know it's going to be developed, but I hope that it gets developed thoughtfully and the land, it drains into the creek, so we're going to have to be careful about the amount of chemical and asphalt that gets put down there, because that all is going to end up in the creek. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Amy Burrell.
Good evening, y'all. I'm Amy Burrell, 10006 Lazy J Trail, Helotes 78023. I'm here to also express my opposition to this PUD amendment. I echo everyone's concerns about safety. I'm sure everyone remembers the incident that happened at Bar X Trail a couple of years ago. Somebody trying to get across that intersection, the family that died. If people are trying to make that U-turn at El Chaparral or even the next U-turn, which I realize there's a grand plan, a master plan for developing Bandera Road, but until that's in place, I think we're going to be putting a lot of people in danger trying to get out of there. And of course, the light is very stressed as well. It's a one-lane road. I think that there's a safety concern. I don't think that we need another drive-through. I don't want to see Helotes become another Leon Valley. I think we can all agree with that. I realize that development is inevitable, but I just want it to be thoughtful. I was driving with my daughter through Leon Valley the other night, and I said, look, this is what we don't want to be. And she understood. I mean, it's a blight, and we have something really special here. So I think that more drive-throughs is not going to help with that. I share Cynthia's concern about that restaurant. What if they fail to attract a restaurant? What if the restaurant fails? Then what do we have on that hard corner? Also, looking at the site map, it looks like there's the potential to possibly come back at some point and say, maybe we need another drive-through, maybe a little coffee shop or something, which threatens the businesses in Old Town that we have. I think local, keeping it local is very important and supporting local. Ultimately, anecdotally, every person that I've spoken to about this project has kind of said, well, we're resigned to development. We know it's going to happen, but at least we're going to get something that we'd like, AKA a grocery store. I would also like to see something for teens to do in town instead of having to leave town, but that's something for a different night. But everyone is like, well, if we have to accept this, at least we've got that. Well, now we don't have that. So I feel like we've been given a Trojan horse. And you don't have to do it. Please recommend against it for the future of Helotes. I feel like this is deceptive and disrespectful to the constituency which it purports to serve. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Those are all the folks I have signed up. Was there anyone else who wished to speak tonight? We will close the public hearing at 7:11 and move on to our next item. Selena, are there any citizens to be heard on other issues?
No, Chairman.
Okay, very good. Item 5 for us tonight is discussion and action on the minutes of the special meeting of Planning and Zoning Commission that was held on September the 9th, 2025. If there are any corrections or edits to these, this would be a good time to call to our attention, or we could have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Is there a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
All in favor of approving the minutes of the September 9th special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission, please signal aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes are approved. We will move ahead to item 6 tonight, which is discussion and recommended action on the request from Killen Griffin Fairmont to amend the planned unit development zoning ordinance by modifying permitted land uses in the commercial area parcel 2 of Bandera Ranch located at 15030 Bandera Road. We all have received material about this from staff. Selena, is there anything additional that staff wishes to add to what we received?
Nothing additional, but the applicant is here and desires to give a brief presentation.
Very good. If the applicant could come up and please introduce yourself and put your business address on the record for us.
Yes, sir. Hi, good evening. Ashley Fairmont with Killing Griffin in Fairmont, 10101 Reunion Place, San Antonio. I'm also here with Joe Acock. Joe is the owner and developer of the property.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to give a brief presentation and maybe address some of the concerns that we heard. So everyone knows where the property is, 31 acres. Keep going, sorry, thank you. So in 2022, this was the original PUD plan that was approved. We did come back in 2024 and make an amendment to this addressing the residential piece. We can go to the next slide. These were the original requirements of the PUD, which have not changed and would still be in effect. If there are questions about these, I'm happy to answer them. One I do want to address is one of the requirements of the PUD is an impervious cover, maximum lot coverage. So there is a combined building lot coverage of 30% for the commercial area, and we're not proposing to amend that with this request. Next slide.
Next.
Keep going, yeah. So this is the plan that's currently in effect. What we're proposing tonight or requesting is two things. One is to restrict the hard corner to restaurant use. And that would be a sit-down restaurant, no drive-through, and a single tenant building. So the only thing that could be built on that corner would be a restaurant. Part of the proposal, and you did hear comments about that being the first use. So right now, what's permitted on that corner is what's allowed in the PUD, which is already significantly restricted in terms of commercial uses from what's permitted in city code. In 2022, with the original PUD, we worked very closely with city staff at that time to restrict what commercial uses would be allowed within the PUD. What we're proposing today is to further restrict the corner, because what we've heard is that there is desire for that to be a sit-down restaurant. That was something that was talked about years ago, and so we're proposing to do that. The requirements for that restaurant would be that it's a minimum 4,000 square feet, and that it's single tenant. So it's not a retail building, it is just a restaurant building, and again, no drive-through. We did include in the language of the PUD amendment that it would be the first use. So the only thing that can go on that property, if this is approved right now, would be a restaurant, and a restaurant would have to open for business. So be developed and issued a certificate of occupancy from the city. There's concern from a development perspective of limiting that corner in perpetuity to only a sit-down restaurant. It would be developed that way, so significant amount of money, millions of dollars, would be spent on a restaurant. So if a restaurant there did go out of business, it's highly likely that the next user would be a restaurant. But if not, then that corner would go back and revert back to what is allowed under the PUD today. So again, those are those restricted commercial uses from what's in code now. So it couldn't be even a doctor's office. So office is not currently allowed in the PUD. So it would have to be something permissible in the PUD. But again, the intent is for that to be restaurant use. So here is currently what's the proposal. Can you go back one slide real quick? Sorry. So just to, that one, sorry, scroll down. Not that one.
The layout.
Yes, thank you, sorry. So what's highlighted in the teal turquoise color is lot 2 commercial, and so that's what we're talking about. If you can see the black dashed lines, so this is on the current site plan. So tract A, which would be the restaurant use, is the one at the hard corner of Scenic Loop and Bandera. Tract B, which is where we're requesting the one drive-through, would be on that piece. And then the remainder of the commercial tract, we're not asking for anything that would still continue to be developed under the PUD. So a few things with tract B, we're asking for the one drive-through use, which is what's currently required by code, is that if you want to drive through, you have to come in and get permission from you all. So that was what the PUD says, is that if you need a drive-through, come ask. And so we're asking for an end cap of a building in tract B to be the drive-through use. A few things also, tract B would, with that and development of the corner, there would be a deceleration lane. That is a requirement from TxDOT. So that is something that would get traffic off of Bandera Road, which the main entrances to this will be from Bandera, and into the site. So a deceleration lane would have to be constructed as part of the traffic study. We know that. So that is a requirement of this development. We can go, sorry, now to the next one. And then just zooming in on the corner and the site plan that we have. So here is the restaurant on the hard corner of Scenic Loop and Bandera. So this would be the sit-down restaurant. What you see on this site plan is actually significantly larger than the 4,000 square feet. This is about 12,000 square feet. Again, the sit-down restaurant. And then the retail building on the track next to it, showing the in-cap drive-through. That in-cap drive-through space is about 2,500 square feet or so. And again, the traffic would be primarily coming from Bandera Road, and then you can see the deceleration lane at the bottom of that plan. Yeah, I don't think I have too much more to add. I know we needed to keep this relatively brief, but Joe or I are here to answer questions and hope that you'll approve it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Can she stay
Yeah,
there?
stay up here because I'm sure there's. I gather you would like to ask a question.
Oh, well, I have to say, I'm a little confused by the language
Okay.
in the proposals, because you have parcel 2, tract A, parcel 2, tract B. Are you emphasizing that you now want it to be a first-time use only restaurant? Or, I mean, I'm confused about what you're asking. I mean, I think a lot of people here today are thinking that you're asking for a drive-through. I think you're asking that the drive-through not only be granted today, but that it run with the land, right? Okay, which is a little bit shocking to me, because I think every commercial property owner would love that, because it just increases the value of your property extremely. It's like, oh, you will never have to come to the council or to the P&Z to get permission for a drive-through. Our requirement, I mean, that's our law, that's our rule. So you're basically asking us to, you know, just put that aside for you without any justification. I'm confused
Sure.
about that. Like, just, you know, please enhance the value of our property, but we should apply the law equally to everyone. And that means that every commercial property owner could come to us and say, hey, can we just not come to y'all for a drive-through permission? And I'm just confused about that.
Okay, yes, sure. So we've asked for the one drive-through on the track B, and it's now we have A and B as part of the commercial lot 2. So we're asking for the drive-through on tract B of the commercial piece. There was some confusion, I think, on our original language in terms of, okay, so if you build a drive-through here, then what happens if that tenant leaves and you have a building that has an end cap with a drive-through? Do you have to come back and ask for another approval? And so right now it is drafted that that drive-through in that building on track B would be allowed to continue if there was a new tenant that came in that space. So we couldn't build another drive-through, but the drive-through on the building would continue to be allowed, if that makes sense.
Okay, but if the second tenant has to come back to ask for the drive-through and it's already there, the likelihood of it
Yeah.
being granted is very high.
Right, and I
So
think that's
why would
something
you
that
want- Yeah,
we would be happy to fix in the language. Like if you said today, I'm concerned and we want somebody, the second tenant to come back and ask,
no, not
think-
the second tenant, but every tenant. You know, what I'm saying is, we can't have a drive-through easement. You're asking for it to be a permanent easement to run with the land. That means that all future owners of that property get an automatic drive-through.
It would just be one drive-through.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
okay.
If I could
Yeah.
just jump in to
And
clarify. I think you're maybe on the same path here, which is
I
to
think so.
say that drive-through approval would be required at each potential change in
Yes.
business. And I think that's what you're.
And we're fine with
suggesting
that.
That you would want to see. That it wouldn't run
Yeah.
with the land, it would be
But-
for an individual tenant and then
But it says here that you
Right.
want it to run with the land.
But there, perhaps, and we can put it into motion, whatever we do, amenable to recommending that change, that it does not run with the land, but is tied to the tenant itself.
We'd be fine with that.
Okay, yeah, the language needs, the whole paragraph should be rewritten then, because that's the whole purpose of that paragraph.
Well, the purpose was to get approval for a drive-through. And if that is, we've been back and forth a little bit on the language because it was written in a way before that I think was confusing, in that the city was like, what happens if you, with the next tenant? And so there have been questions on that. So we were actually just trying to clarify and make it simpler, but we are happy with the drive-through being allowed for our one certificate of occupancy. I don't know, maybe that's how we do it. The first C of O or the first business to ask for it, and then everyone else has to ask for a new one if that business leaves.
Yeah. It's just, that's the law already. That's the way we do it already. So then what are you asking? It's very confusing to me because yeah.
Let's
You
move
have to
to,
come to the P&Z to get permission for a drive-through.
Right.
Right. So that's already the way it's done. And this says, we don't want to do that. We want to just get permission the first time and then it runs with the land, not the tenant. So whoever gets the land automatically doesn't have to come here to get permission. Okay. Well, anyway, that's okay. All right.
let me comments, questions for the applicant.
Yeah, actually, I guess more of I guess you just put down like full service restaurant, but I wanted to see, is there gonna be like a definition put in place, exactly what? So in case of later on, there's no misinterpretation about, as far as like how many people are gonna be allowed, a minimum amount of seating or, be more of a type that it's gonna be like order on counter and take with you. I like to see maybe
Okay.
something more definable as far as, this is gonna be full service, sit down, that type of thing as far as to do with it. Is that something that you think you guys could be able to do?
Sure, we'd be happy to do that.
Okay. Yeah, and then, and the other thing would be also to, is it in the amendment, and maybe you could maybe help me out with this, is it also that needs to open first before anything happens with any of the rest of the commercial development?
No, there's not a timing that we put into the amendment, but the idea would be for these two pieces to be developed at the same time, because they require infrastructure also. So there's the decel lane that has to be constructed, there's driveways. So the idea would be the retail building and the restaurant be developed at the same time.
Okay, so they get developed at the same time, but as far as, is there something that you could do where the actual corner one gets attended first before moving on to the drive-through one?
I don't know if we could. Yeah, they're both being worked on at the same time, and they both pay for the infrastructure, if that makes sense, that has to come along with it.
Yeah, because I mean, I could see maybe like somebody wanted to pick out the drive-through one, like let's say it gets approved, and then the corner one being kind of like vacant, sitting vacant. And I think that might be, I don't want to say it's going to be an eyesore, but it would be like something where I think it would be better if we secure the corner one, in my perspective, first, before the drive-through one gets issued like a certificate of occupancy. That where this one needs to be done first and not be like have this one operational without this one.
Okay. I think we can do that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me pass it over to Jason.
Oh, yeah.
My question is just, I think you said this, but just to clarify, the remainder, I guess, northwest of the track B is remaining in place, so it looks like we still have a master plan for a grocery store and other drive-through restaurants that were originally part of the plan that was approved.
So the rest of the commercial tract is still proposed to be commercial. I think everyone would love a grocery store there. There's not a grocery store tenant at the moment. And there's no drive-throughs proposed for that at this time. Those would all have to come back through you all for approval.
I'll ask one here. Currently, right now, as of today, the uses that are permitted on tracks A and B are governed by what's in the PUD, right?
Correct.
So there's about 40 some odd uses that are permitted, ranging from barbers to delicatessens. You're proposing for tract A, this would be a dedicated full-service restaurant. That would be the sole use permitted in perpetuity for that spot. For the first.
For the first use,
For the
yes.
first use, right.
But the only use, that would be,
The only
it
use,
has to
right.
be that first.
And this tract B, where the proposed potential drive-through is, again, you're suggesting the drive-through run with the land, amenable to perhaps changing that, but right now it's envisioned as a restaurant with the drive-through.
It's envisioned as, so the restaurant would be only about 2,500 square feet, so it's the end cap of a retail building.
Right.
So the other uses in that building would be service-related, retail, commercial.
Has a traffic study been done? Has it been completed for, okay, so TxDOT is aware of it. I mean, I think the citizens' comments regarding that intersection are important because that is a problematic area and becoming more so. It looks like from what you've submitted, the ingress and egress is off Bandera Road, though there is also a scenic loop entrance. And that entrance, so positioned where it is not ideal, so close to the intersection of scenic loop and Bandera. And I know that TxDOT will have something to say about this, but that's, I think, what strikes many citizens as a very concerning element here.
I think we can, I don't think there's any way to not have an access point on scenic loop is the challenge. I think the goal is to have traffic enter this property from Bandera Road. And that's why there's improvements being made there, and getting people who are turning into the development off of Bandera, off of the main traffic, so they can use the decel lane and acceleration lane eventually.
Yeah, the problem is our goals and the way people drive are different.
I just don't know from a fire perspective, and that, it doesn't, what we're asking for today, I think the traffic doesn't change, right? So we're not increasing traffic over what was originally proposed, and then that's what's proposed in the traffic study. But I think from a fire perspective, you're gonna have to have an access onto scenic loop.
More questions or comments? Back to Ann, if you have.
No, I'm a little, I guess I'm having trouble with the language, really. But it almost seems like you're saying, we'll give you track A, we'll give you this restaurant, first time use only, it's going to be restricted. We're going to guarantee you that we're going to have a restaurant here that's a sit down. And then we want you to give us the drive-through that runs with the land. And and so I'm kind of confused. Are you going to drop tract B's proposal? I'm not, when you say, oh yeah, we could change that language and not let it run with the land?
I think we would still ask for a drive-through. We would just say that a drive-through is permitted for the first tenant. We'd have to work pretty closely with city attorney on the language. Because I think from the city perspective, there was concern about how do we make sure we enforce this properly and interpret the ordinance properly so there's not confusion like today. But we could work with them on drafting the language in a way, one, we delete runs with the land. Okay, we can take that language completely out and just say one drive-through is approved for the first tenant of this building. And then it's for one business. And we can even add language in there that says this is for one business and does not run with the land. And we would be happy to do that.
So we would be granting the drive-through without knowing what kind of, like, restaurant's gonna be there or anything. We just know it's gonna be a fast food drive-through or some of that. And you want us to approve the drive-through without knowing all the dimensions or nothing presenting, just automatic?
Yeah, I mean, this is what
Okay.
we have today. Is
Okay,
this
I just want to
building.
make sure I'm understanding it's, yeah, okay.
Jaime, any other questions?
Yeah, is that gonna be the exact location where it's gonna be at? Like, how it's listed on there, or is it subject to change?
This is the site plan. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where it's gonna be at, okay. And then, as far as like, when I was looking at the plans, I know that one of them mentioned that there was gonna be, one of the pages mentioned that there was gonna be like a 40-foot, possibly pylon sign for like the tenants. I know that here in Helotes, my understanding is that it can't be over a certain length, right? I'm imagining that with this, we're not,
I'm not sure. We have some signage language in the original PUD, but we're not proposing to change any of that. And I believe that's all consistent with city code.
okay, no, because in one of the pages, it said like a proposed 40-foot multi-tenant pylon sign.
I think because of the size of the property, there's one sign that's allowed. A monument sign, pylon.
Monument signs are permitted, Jaime.
Oh, they are?
Pylons.
Okay. So that one is permitted one?
Pylon, I don't think that would,
No, well, that's what it says here. It says 40-foot pylon on
is that
here.
in there?
Yeah,
Where are you?
on page 32.
32, thank you, let's find this. Maybe we could,
It's in small text. You have to like really,
I don't have it by page number, so,
Oh, this is the original.
It might just be a typo,
is that what it is?
yeah.
Okay.
But it is, it's a multi-tenant.
Yeah, I'm like,
Not pylon, but the intent is a monument sign.
okay, okay.
is it,
Yeah, but did you?
is it labeled as monument in the original, or is it labeled as something other?
It just says proposed 40-foot multi-tenant pylon sign.
When we get there, we'll make sure to follow code.
Yeah, we're not asking for any,
Thank you for catching that.
yes, thank you. We're not asking for anything that's not per code on signage.
Guess the only other thing that I would be thinking about would be just, as far as noise, are you guys gonna be like turning things off, speakers after 10 PM? Or is that something that, and then make sure speakers are directed like away from the resident, either the residents, and I imagine they should be, but I'm thinking that would be.
Yeah, I mean, there's the residences that will be developed there, the developers of the residences are partners on
Okay.
both deals. So they don't want to do anything that would hinder people not wanting to live there.
Okay. That sounds good. All right. That's about, yeah, as long as, and, the only other thing would be just the traffic, like the impact analysis. I don't know. It looks like the original one, there was, when you guys did the analysis, it had the proposed drive-through with the original one?
With the trip count and everything?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, then they know. Then it's been known, it's been examined then.
Yes.
All right.
Jason? Anything further?
Nothing else.
I had one other comment or question, and that is about the size proposed for the full-service restaurant. Minimum 4,000. What's in the language that's in here is 15,000, which is quite large. Would like to see that reduced or capped. I would defer to staff on sort of the appropriate sizing, but 4,000, a range of 4,000 to 15,000, or maybe there's not even a cap, is problematic. So I think we would want to see something that's appropriate scale for the development and for the particular location. So I hope you would be amenable to that, and to work with staff to determine what is the appropriate cap on that.
Yeah, we're happy to work with, yes.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Otherwise, we can put up a motion to talk about and go from there.
Thank you.
All right. So I would just, to help frame our discussion here of a motion, the several issues that have come up that you may or may not want to include in a motion, or if you're, depending on what you would want to propose. We've talked about the drive-through, perhaps changing that to first use only, defining full-service restaurant, which is something Jaime brought up, the ensuring that we're following code on signage, regardless of what is in the application, and then working with staff to have a limit, a maximum limit on the size of the full-service restaurant. Those are issues we're considering now. That's, of course, if you're thinking about making a motion to recommend approval. If you're thinking about making a different motion, that'd probably be less important, but.
I mean, I have to say straight out that
Well, before you say anything, let's have a motion. Let's have a motion and then we can talk about it. So I would invite, this is a recommendation item.
I mean, I have to do a motion to not recommend, so, I don't know about how
Follow
all
the
y'all,
process.
y'all
Follow
feel,
the
but
process and make
yes.
your motion.
I move to not recommend the request in item number 6 by Killen Griffin Fairmont PLLC to amend the PUD zoning ordinance by modifying permitted land uses in the commercial area, parcel 2 of Bandera Ranch, identified as BCAD property ID number 1434317, and located at 15030 Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas 78023.
Okay, is there a second to this motion? Hearing that there's no second for this motion, I would invite
It dies.
it dies, we would invite a new motion at this point. So I would ask someone else to make a different motion.
And could I just speak a little to my motion?
Not
Or
really.
you want to wait till they do?
There's no motion to speak to. And I can't make a motion.
Oh, no, I was
So,
gonna say,
Jaime or Jason?
no, I guess more of anything, what you had mentioned, like if we make a motion with these. with
So I
these
know,
changes.
yeah, so you're gonna have to, so the process is to read out the item with your motion to, in this case, recommend, and then add to it at the end whatever the adjustments or conditions that you want to see added to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, all the ones that we had stated out there, the ones
Okay,
that
we'll
had
read
mentioned.
it, you make your motion and we'll put it together and we'll make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah,
And for folks, Commissioner Sandoval is his second meeting, so.
yeah, so,
We're trying to bring him up to speed.
yeah, because, I do make a motion to approve, given that.
Recommendation.
Yeah, recommendation, but as long as we define the full-service restaurant, we make sure we tie in that one gets,
So what I'm asking is, go ahead and read it out, what you would like as the motion. You'd like to recommend approval and read out item 6 for us.
okay, so I'd like to make approval for item 6, discussion recommendation upon request of Killen Griffin Fairmont PLLC to amend the planned unit development or zoning ordinance by modifying permitted land uses, commercial area parcel 2 Bandera, as identified, given, certain following conditions.
So the conditions, and make sure this is what you had in mind, that the drive-through be for first use only, that the full-service restaurant be defined,
Yes,
that multi-tenant, that the signage conform to ordinance,
yeah,
that the
well,
applicant work with staff on the maximum allowable size of the full-service restaurant. And this is a recommendation item. So
Yeah,
does
and
does that
that-
fit with what you wanted to say?
That and also that the certificate of occupancy be first to the restaurant, the corner restaurant. We should do that first before,
Right, which is in part of their proposal.
oh, is it really?
for the full
Okay,
stage.
okay. Then we align then.
Little clunky there. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we can now, let's talk about this motion. Jaime and Jason go first if you'd like to speak to the motion.
If anything, it seems like it's been well thought out. They've been working on it since 2022. I've seen that, if anything, it tightens some things because it really just now really defines hard corner, defines over here, where the location's gonna be at. And as long as they put down, what we can enforce, like these things to do with the full-service restaurant, then they're completing everything that, what we're allowed to do. It's kind of like, I just see it as, they have the right to it, and I don't see why we should be restricting it.
Jason, any discussion to the motion?
No, it just, I mean, to me, it just doesn't seem like a massively significant change to what was previously approved.
Now, are y'all just talking about tract A, the
No, we're not.
motion?
We're
Are
talking
you
about-
including tract B too?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
All of them. So do you have any comments on the motion?
Okay, so are you saying that drive-through's gonna run with the land?
No, we're not.
No.
Okay, just to make sure, yeah. I mean, I feel like we're recreating this language so much that it needs to be rewritten. On that tract B is very disturbing. I mean, that's, to me, but anyway.
My only comments that haven't been said is, as a mixed-use development, this change seems to be reasonable within the parameters of what's proposed. I do believe that traffic and public safety will be an ongoing issue, and that requires input from other bodies beyond this one, because of the congestion that is now forming at that area due to the development. At this point, I'll read out the motion and ask for your verbal vote on this. Simply a majority of those present determines the outcome. The motion is to recommend approval of the request from Kellen Griffin Fairmont to amend the planned use development zoning ordinance by modifying permitted land uses in the commercial area, parcel 2 of Bandera Ranch at 15030 Bandera Road, including or with the conditions that the drive-through proposed be for first use only, that if definition be provided for the full-service restaurant, that all signage conform to city code, and that applicant work with staff on setting a maximum size for the full-service restaurant. So all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
So the motion is approved, 2-1. It will go as a recommendation from this body to city council. Depending on what date.
October 23rd.
Not till October 23rd. So citizens who are here, I'd encourage you to attend that council meeting where the final determination will be made, and it'll have our recommendation and then an opportunity for folks to have direct input to council. Brings us to the conclusion of our agenda. At this time, I would invite a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I second.
All in favor of adjourning, signal aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned at 7:44. Thank you all.